Thank you very much for giving me the time to present my paper here. My name is Dr. Mashaal Saif. I just graduated for a PhD in finance from University Teknologi Malaysia last month. My topic is about predictive insights into digital-only banking adoption in Malaysia using artificial. Uh, the outline of this presentation will be introduction, methods, results, and discussion and conclusion. In the introduction, there has been changes in the financial industry, especially with the advancement of Industry 4.0 and the technologies of artificial intelligence, big data, and so on. These technologies has caused shifted in the banking system. One of the financial banking system in the fintech business model is the digital-only banks. These banks through the digital means in which they have no physical presence, the customers can open their bank accounts to the doing all the financial and services through the digital means only, like for example, applying for loans and extra. Malaysia has introduced this banking in the financial system in 2022 for the goals to enhance the cashless economy to become, especially as a leader in the digital economy in Southeast Asia by 2030. At the same time, to close the financial gaps among the population that are underserved or unserved, which is like less than 10% of the Malaysian population. For research on this topic has been conducted like enormously and determined like few factors like customers accept, for example, the benefits and risk related to these banks, technology-related factors such as perceived ease of use and extra. At the same time, like external factors like the social influence and so on. Why there is a problem in this sector? For example, if we relate this to the Malaysian context where we conduct our research, the Malaysian, even though the bankings they are considered a bank society, however, there is still some gaps in there are some still an underserved segments, and at the same time, the adoption for fintech in the country has been like with a slow base. As in 2021, it was only around 50% of the population. Uh, why this is a problem? This is a problem because it might become an obstacle for the Malaysian government to achieve the goals of developing a cashless society, especially with reports saying that digital-only banks adoption were not according to the expectations. Uh, Reports from United States and Japan have declared some of these digital banks have declared bankruptcy and continue to operate at loss. So we would like to, by conducting our research, we would like to examine what are the important factors that shape the customer's intentions, so that we could give insights into what can improve the adoption rates, especially in Malaysia, because it's a new the digital only banks are just introduced recently in 2022. The research model or the framework was based on three main theories: the mental accounting theory, network externality theory, and the commitment trust theory. And based on these theories, we come up with this theoretical framework that shows the most important factors. I mean, that shows some of the factors that affect the intention to adopt digital-only banks. Methodology, this research is actually quantitative research, cross-sectional data analysis with survey questionnaire that focus on the non-adopters or the potential customers for digital-only banks. This study has targeted 420 participants. from Klang Valley area, which is the more vibrant areas in Malaysia, the main cities in Malaysia, the three main cities in Malaysia, and then it was focusing on the individual in the prime age of 25 to 45, because this age is considered a potential customers for digital-only banks, as stated in Moody's analyst that this population is rapidly expanding and represent a potential customers for banking sectors in Malaysia. Uh, to, Before we conducted collected data, we did first of all to get the measurements, the instruments. We adopted and adapted the instruments from previous research as a table. Uh, and after that, we did conduct the validity test to get a judgment for the quality of the instruments from experts in the field and academicians. After that, we did the pilot study to of such instruments before we collected our data. The main analysis for this paper was based on artificial neural networks. This closed the gaps in the literatures, as most of the research in this field did not use such approach to tell the importance or the percentage of importance of factors that influence the adoption intention. Uh, in contrast to the traditional linear techniques that was used in the most of the literature, like BLS, SEM, CB, SEM, artificial neural networks operates independently from the multivariate assumptions such as linearity and normality, and it has the capacity to recognize both linear and non-linear relationships. For the results, for the demographic analysis, our demographic was males and females with close to equal representations, and the majority of them were from the age group of 25 to 35. Diverse that represent the diverse ethnic groups in the country. At the same time, those respondents were having mostly hold the bachelor degree, and they have computer literacy and knowledge of these digital banks. Before we did the artificial neural networks, we did the exploratory factor analysis to make sure that uh, our theoretical foundation is robust and it represents the data. And based on the EFA, the EFA identified 10 factors which aligned with the study theoretical proposition, as the framework also proposed the 10 factors. And at the table, we looked at the rotated component metrics, and it shows that the measurements are aligning with the factors as it was proposed in the framework. For artificial neural networks, to assess the performance of the model, a tenfold cross-validation approach was implemented, addressing the potential using 10% of the data for testing and 90% of the data for training the neural networks. The model fit, as indicated in the table, from the small RMSE mean values, as it was reported for the mean for training was 0.116 and the mean for testing was 0.113, confirming the excellent fit for the models to the database. Furthermore, the low values suggest that network models effectively capture the numerical predictors and the output variable, underscoring their reliability. Finally, the small values imply that the models can offer highly accurate predictions, as it was reported in the literature that if values are around 0.10, it indicates higher level of accuracy in the predictions. Furthermore, we did compare the R square for our model and for the artificial neural networks and the regression model. For regression model, the variation in explaining the adoption intention was 46%, while for ANN model, the variation in explaining the adoption intention was higher, and it was 64%. The results indicate that the ANN model strongly outperformed the multiple regression analysis, demonstrating its superior predictive capabilities for adoption intention. The final results that we look at, it was the sensitivity analysis, in which we determined which factor is the most important to the least important factor in predicting the intention, the adoption intention for customers. This was done by computing the normalized values. That intention was the most important factor, or the factor that had the highest importance, was uh, the environmental concern. You can see at the last row at the ranking there, environmental concern was the first, and uh, above that the percentage of each variable. So for our discussion, using the artificial neural networks, it capture both the simple and complex relationship among the variables. The predictive importance of the factors revealed the environmental concern being the most crucial, with 94% of importance, followed by 86 importance for protection for trust, and then the 82 for perceived value, and so on. While for the other factors like critical mass and security risk, it was less than 50% importance. So when we focus when we give our implication for this research, we focus on the high importance and the high percentage of the factors, the high importance of the factor that was uh, environmental concern, perceived value, trust, and convenience. So the contribution for this paper was using the artificial neural networks, as previous studies only focus on linear regression. Using this model, we could investigate the non-linear regression, which enhanced the model's capacity to estimate the values based on the weighted input. The acknowledgement of non-linear relationships adds depth into understanding the complexities that involve in the protection the intention in reality, which is more complex than it might sound. So based on the findings, we provide few recommendations for the industry and policymakers, as environmental concern was the highest important factor. uh, we recommended that managers and policymakers should promote eco-friendly practices like paperless transactions and renewable energy to address climate change and enhance environmental awareness among the population in Malaysia. Furthermore, the trust was the second highest predictor. So we recommend that managers and policymakers should focus on the website and virtual advisor, since to get the initial trust for these banks, because the first reaction of consumers is with the digital means, which is the website or the apps for these banks. So so these banks should focus on designing the websites to be user-friendly with user-friendly technologies. The third one was the perceived value, and we recommend that perceived value should be focused in providing the services for these banks by integrating AI technologies to make to enhance the customer's experience and enhance the finally, the convenience of the service should be focused using by the practitioners of these banks, since the ability to since they should communicate the clear benefits and how convenient is to use these banks to the customers, and tell them about how easy they can access the banking service from any time, anywhere, by just downloading the apps and doing all the functions through the internet without having to go to a bank and uh, go through all account and so on. Finally, policymakers should update the regulations, since the current regulations are mostly for the traditional banking. Now with the fintech and digital-only banks, there should be more updated regulations, especially focusing on priorities, customer priorities like environmental concern, trust, perceived value, and convenience. Conclusion remarks from this paper. The research has investigated the adoption intentions among non-users using the artificial neural networks. Environmental concern was identified as the primary driver for adoption, along with other factors such as trust, perceived value, and convenience. The study acknowledged some limitations, including and explored variables such as regional differences and personal psychology. The insights gained from this paper can guide organizations in attracting new customers and navigate the challenging banking environment. Thank you for